Welcome everybody. My name's Maralee Burnett. I'm your astrologer, back with the messages for the week of June 8th, which has a couple of big power-packed events. We'll see the beautiful blessing between Venus and Jupiter. And at the end of the week, we are going to see a new moon in the sign of Gemini, which stands pretty much on its own, unaffected. So these are important new beginnings that you have to take advantage of. You have to make worthwhile. And of course, at the end of the video, we'll break it down by sign on where you should be focusing your intentions to create the best opportunities for yourself in that Gemini energy. Of course, we have a lot of things going on in Gemini right now with that Uranus moving through there and squaring to the nodes. So some of you early degree placements out there may really be feeling like something's up. There could even be tingling sensations within your body because of that Uranus electricity running through. So we'll take a look at how that can affect you at the time of the new moon as well. Of course, if all of this sounds unusual to you, then you want to make sure that you're subscribing to my channel. Click on that subscribe button now so that you are up to date on everything that's going on. And there's a lot going on. The things that are shifting by the time we get to the end of June are really going to start awakening people to what needs to change in their lives in pretty big way. So we'll talk through some of that. And we, of course, will talk about all of the written content I have out there for you as well. So you want to make sure you go out to my website, maraleeburnett.com. There, of course, become a subscribed member, and then you have free access to everything that I post. And right now in June, we've got, of course, the monthly article. We've got the new moon article. We'll have the full moon article out there and ready for you. We also have the Chiron article, and that's a pretty important shift and change. We haven't seen Chiron in the sign of Taurus since the late 70s. Some of you may not even be alive since then, but for those that were and know all the pressure that was going on in the late 70s, it's something to consider as far as your financial picture goes. And we're going to get a sneak peek of that from June till September. And then we have to finish the work of Chiron in Aries, our own wounds to ourselves, our confidence. The wounds we cause ourselves is also part of this work. And it's work you've been doing since 2018. So how's your years been since 2018? And how do you hope that they will transition as we move into the sign of Taurus? Those are all things that we can consider, and go out and read the article because it's ready out there for you, as well as, of course, this Gemini energy with Uranus going through there for the first time in 84 years. You've heard a lot about that. So those are some of the things that are out there. And then coming shortly is the article that will cover Jupiter transitioning into the sign of Leo. So that's going to be a big change as far as leadership, as far as actors, musicians, children, joy, happiness. All of those things get touched and expanded on by the Jupiter energy. But we still have this time to wrap up with Jupiter in the sign of Cancer before we get there, but you'll be able to take a sneak peek at that article. And then, of course, the July content. And I'm just going to tell you, July is going to have fireworks for real. And it's going to be a very excitable month. We have Saturn going retrograde, Jupiter changing signs, the nodes getting ready to change signs, and a Mercury retrograde that's coming up as well. And Mercury's covering over all of the Jupiter territory that we just went through in a review. But as Jupiter meets this week, we'll talk about the end of that work and this transition into the Mercury work as well. So lots to cover. Let's take a deep dive into what is showing up for us this week, starting with, of course, Monday, June 8th. And today we are just starting to feel this coming together of Venus and Jupiter. So where you have this house, Cancer energy in this house, if you have personal planets in these degrees, especially in the sign of Cancer, maybe it's your rising sign, maybe it's your midheaven, your IC, your home, your relationships, whatever it is that's being impacted, Jupiter expands on what it touches. So it's touching with Venus, love, beauty, money, the things that we put value in, the materialistic things that we buy and we purchase. So those topics are getting bigger, and there can be blessings because Jupiter does give blessings, but we still have to have done the work. So I think that this is about the work you've been doing with Jupiter as it's been retrograde through this 15 to 25 degrees of Cancer. So I think it's apropos that Venus and Jupiter are coming together at these last degrees to finish the post-shadow work. And so Monday, you may start to feel that energy, the blessings, the growth, the expansion, things to do with home and family and food and nutrition, security. All of those things we've been working on and working through. And now we're almost at the end of that work. And on Monday, we get a little extra energy from the moon in Pisces as well. So Monday can be a really beautiful emotional day as we kick off the week. And when you're getting that gut instinct or reaction to something, you need to listen to it because it is guiding you on the right path, the right choices that you need to make going forward. It's a great day for doing water work. You can manifest with water. There's a glass manifestation trick where you take purified water in the one glass, you write on the front of it and say all the things as they are today, and then you have an empty glass with what you want to manifest going forward. And you literally take the water poured into the new glass and read what it is that you're hoping to create and manifest and drink that water. A simple activity, but a beautiful day to do that on Monday as that moon moves through Pisces, of course, a water sign, and speaks in harmony, which is a trine over here to Venus and Jupiter in the sign of Cancer. So there's some beautiful opportunities that you can help create for yourselves. The best way to manifest anything is to make sure you are aligned with the energy in your chart, and of course the energy that's going on in the sky, because that's the energy around you that's available for you to plug in. Think about the energy from the planets and the stars as an electrical current. Electricity doesn't do anything for you if you don't plug into it, right? The lamp doesn't come on unless it has power. So your manifestations do not come to life unless you plug into the power source. So understand your chart and pay attention to the transits, and you'll have an easier time getting in the flow. And then, of course, you have to stop saying the things in your head that don't allow things to come to fruition in your life for good. So that's some beautiful energy as we get started on Monday. Let's take a look then at Tuesday, which is the day where the actual conjunction happens. But I'm not saying you haven't already been seeing this or been an effect of it, but this is the moment when the connection is exact. So it can be on Tuesday, June 9th, that the blessing makes itself known. Counteracting some of this blessing and energy is this difficult conversation going on between Mercury in Cancer and Saturn in Aries. So I can tell you, if you're trying to get some details finished, a to-do list completed, you're going to have to go slow and be very methodical and detailed. If you try to rush anything on Tuesday, you'll just end up getting frustrated and having to rework it. So if you don't have to do the thing on Tuesday, don't do it, because Saturn just makes you miserable as you're trying to get all the details taken care of. But it is a good day to do things that are less dramatic as far as whether you get it done or not. Like, you don't have to have a serious attachment to what you complete. So if you want to clean out a drawer or reorganize your closet, right? Details aren't as important doing those kinds of tasks. But if you're trying to do your taxes, redo your website, like whatever you're trying to do that's super detail oriented, it will just be frustrating. But a square is also good for changing things. So that's why I said do the things at home, Mercury and Cancer, like reorganizing, cleansing, purging, do things that are responsible in nature, and then that Saturn energy will be happy that you, Saturn and Aries, are taking charge of cleaning up or cleaning out your home. So that's just a suggestion of how to work with this. But otherwise, there can be conflicts in the collective. This can be an older leader and a younger one in conflict with one another, battling one another. And you can be stuck in battle, or you can figure out how to navigate who's going to go forward, who's going to step back in order to navigate this conflict that will be pretty apparent. So can be some emotional exchanges if you're not careful with older people or mentors. So not the time to get into a big emotional battle with anybody at work either. But that energy is definitely out there and making itself known. But again, hopefully when you do the work and make Saturn happy, then this blessing from this Jupiter and Venus energy will benefit you. So specific benefits, strongest, most notable, will come to those Cancers that have a personal planet or a personal angle right here at the 25 degrees. Then other signs that you have planets, or again, angles, your nodes at this 25 degrees or very close, you may feel and something happens that supports the other planet or the other point that you have in your chart, and it feels like almost too good to be true kind of energy, but it works with whatever that is in your chart. So let's say you have your moon, like we talked about before, and 25 degrees of Cancer, and you've been searching and searching for the right home, and suddenly it appears at like magically, like somebody hasn't even listed it yet, and they come your way and say, hey, I'm looking to sell my home. Do you know anybody who's looking to buy? And magic deal, right, happens behind the scenes, and it's perfect for you. So that's kind of the way the Jupiter blessings can show up. It's going to have a lot to do with the house that this sits in for you and wherever else it's making contact in your chart. So this person would have this in their first house of the self, pretty close to the rising sign, and they may be doing something to beautify themselves, because this is how you present yourself to others. It's your image, and your image is growing and expanding in some way. So lots of fun you can have with that, but you of course want to know your chart, or you want to book a reading with me so that we can look at the opportunities that are coming. And I'm just telling you, this is the perfect time to book readings so that you're prepared for how much is going to shift and change in your life as a result of these really impactful planetary changes. And I just keep saying this, 2026 is kind of the warm up. We're breaking in the shoes. We're figuring out where this energy is trying to take us. And then 2027 is really where it settles in and takes us. And 2027 is an 11 year. It's a year of light. It's a master number. And the master number 11 is about the light. So do the work. And then the light is coming through next year to vanquish some of this darkness. All right. So that's Tuesday. And as we skip along to Wednesday, it's more of the same with that Mercury squaring to Saturn. So again, if you were frustrated on Tuesday, don't try to force it on Wednesday, because it's not going to go any easier. You still have to slow down in order to accomplish whatever it is you want to accomplish. So don't try to force things. you'll just be so frustrated, and then you'll walk away from it. It still is something you need to get done, but in order to get it done, you've got to stop being overwhelmed by your emotions, because that is making it harder for you to complete whatever this is for you. So not a lot else going on or shifting and changing, but that moon will move through the sign of Aries, and then that adds a little fire to our emotions as well. So just watch out Wednesday that you just don't get so frustrated that you end up biting somebody's head off or saying something that you'll end up regretting. It's not worth it. Just let the energy calm down, and then you can start moving forward. On Thursday, this I talked about last week too, that now we've got Uranus in the sign of Gemini, of course, like I said, the first time in 84 years. You can go out and read the article to see what we experienced 84 years ago, like, World War II and civil wars and all the things. So today it is pretty close to exact in the square that it's doing to the North Node and the South Node. That means there's a T square. It's a mountain of pressure, and there is an explosive event that is possible at this time with this energy. But it can also create aha moments. It can create, downloads for something that you would invent. This is information that comes your way that surprises you and shocks you. But because it's the North Node and South Node, it's part of a lesson. Now, I think this is most impactful if you happen to have a planet, a personal planet or degree or angle at this 2 degrees of Gemini. The collective experiences when an outer planet is being aspected by the nodes isn't necessarily just a one and done event. It's a process of change that's being initiated at this time. And we may not even know exactly what it is that's happening until later. But we would look back to this mid-June period and say, this was a turning point. This is where a change in direction happened, where communication changed or transportation changed or information changed in some way, in a surprising way, because that is what Uranus is about, surprise. I call it the nutty professor energy, your Einstein energy, your weird, quirky people energy. And of course, Gemini is information and transportation and communication, and it is ruled by Mercury. And of course, we've got Mercury that's in Cancer, and it's been squaring Saturn, and then that reflects on the Uranus energy. So it definitely speaks to some type of maybe difficult change, and maybe that change has to do with an older leader of some kind. Okay, that is what we're going to talk about on Thursday. And then we're going to move, of course, into Friday, still seeing that conversation, but Uranus is starting to slowly step away from the nodes because, of course, they move backwards. But again, this whole week, this conflict, this surprise, these fated events that you think, what the heck just happened? It's fate. We just have to move with it and accept what changes and learn the lessons. That's the South Node in Virgo. Let go of trying to control the outcome. South Node in Virgo. Let go of these systems that don't work for you anymore. And North Node in Pisces. Have more faith. Get in the flow and trust how you're being guided. That's probably the best thing we can do. Also on Friday is the last day of Venus in the sign of Cancer. And so again, it can be a more emotional day. There can be women, family members that are in the news in some way. We also see the moon that rules, of course, Cancer, is speaking in harmony with Mercury in Cancer. So there can be good news kind of messages, maybe good news for women in general, for the collective feminine energy in some way. But 29 degrees is also the degree that's what we call anoretic. It can feel like a test. It can feel like a crisis. There's something very intense going on as a result of this energy. And it is also squaring Chiron. So there's something that we need to heal. And this square energy can expose the pain that you need to heal, and it can help you do something with the energy to start the healing process, right? So it's a day to make changes when it comes to how sensitive you are or how hard you are on yourself. Something that you consider to be a pain point for you is something that you need to resolve for yourself today. So, just going to be a little interesting Friday. Venus is strong on Friday because that's the day of the week that the planet rules. So it's, again, a day to trust your intuition, get together with other women, and together you may be able to conquer some kind of painful experience with one another. That is Friday. And then we're heading into Saturday. And since it was the last day of Venus in Cancer, now Venus is in Leo. Now, Venus appreciates the Leo energy more than the Cancer energy. Cancer is a little too touchy-feely for Venus, but Venus in Leo, she loves all the passion, all the fun, all the romance that comes with this energy. So over the next 3 weeks, you get to really indulge in having fun, in maybe reviving the spark in your life as far as romance goes. It also can put a highlight on children, because Leo does rule children, so female children in particular. And so we'll be watching this energy for a preview for when Jupiter comes and follows in these Venus footsteps, because one of the big things that we'll be experiencing is going to be this opposition to Pluto in Aquarius. So there can be a woman in a leadership role who is going to be challenged by her people in some way. And so we have something to be aware of during this time for our own selves. And so again, where do you have Leo in your chart? And with it being Pluto, it can be something that's just going on beneath the surface that you aren't even fully aware of. It can be very psychological work that you're doing. So this need to choose yourself, Venus in Leo, over what other people are choosing for you can create a battle. But your goal when opposition energy shows up is to figure out how to meet in the middle. So what's good for you, what's good for other people, and how can you make sure you focus on both areas to get through this little kerfluffle. All right, that is the Saturday energy, and then we are going to move here to talk about this new moon in the sign of Gemini. So let me set it up. Okay. So it is Sunday, it's June 14th, and we have the new moon in Gemini. And as I mentioned at the top of this session, this is a pretty much standalone energy. There's not anything that's opposing the new moon. There isn't anything that's creating a square. It's not really even anything that's creating a sextile. The closest energy is in Cancer, and that's just a semi-sextile, so it's just very subtle support that Jupiter is giving to this new moon. So new moon in Gemini, this is the time for new vehicle purchases because it's transportation. This is the time to sign up to take a class. This is the time to study a foreign language, right? I'm improving my communication skills. Maybe you're buying a new phone, right? Maybe you're planning a short local trip. That would be a great way to work with this energy as well. It's a great time to kick off writing a book. Maybe it's a great time to go back and do all the edits in a book that you've already written. And that influence comes from the fact that we've got Mercury, of course, ruler of the new moon, since it rules Gemini and all of those things. Mercury's also a little trickster. It's a comedian. It's very funny. So maybe you want to write a book that makes people laugh, for instance. Mercury right now at 18 degrees of Cancer is what we call pre-shadow for its upcoming retrograde. So we get about 3 weeks of Mercury showing us something that we're going to have to go back and dig into more deeply. And of course, in the sign of Cancer, all those things that we've been talking about: security, home, family, motherhood, food, nutrition. Those are some of the things that we've seen with Jupiter in Cancer. We saw a lot of stuff about immigration while Jupiter was in Cancer, because Jupiter's foreign people. Our country is Cancer. So there's been a lot that's been going on. So now, as we get to the pre-shadow of Mercury for this retrograde, there's much more detail, because Jupiter gives us the big picture, but Mercury gives us all the information, all the details for us to connect the dots. So there is a lot that we're going to learn about our feelings, about our emotions, about our sense of security. Those are all things that are going to come up, and then it will go retrograde. But what this says now, because it's moving forward still, is this is helping you move something new forward. But with the caveat that whatever you do new, you have to take it slow, because there will be a retrograde going on that will affect whatever this new thing is for you. So just keep that as like, don't be so attached to how whatever this is going to come to be. Give it room to shift and change, and for you to shift and change and maybe change your mind, right? Because Gemini is the twins. It's the light, the dark. It's the two sides. It's not being able to make up your mind either. So there is something going on that is a really good opportunity, but there could be some tweaks needed to whatever this new thing is for you. And so, of course, when we do the breakdown, we'll talk about where this is showing up for you and, what you can focus in on as far as creating new things. And then we're really just looking at the energy that's pretty much been with us this whole week. So we're still seeing the Uranus squaring the nodes. This isn't really going away until the end of July, when the nodes move into their new signs of Leo and Aquarius. And we will have much to discuss when that gets closer. And I'll have an article out for that and for all the signs as well. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. But this is what kind of keeps things a little spicy. And speaking of the nodes, we do have Venus making an odd connection back to that North Node in Pisces. So there is something that is a fated opportunity or lesson that could require a change for, women, like I said, in leadership roles. This could be a famous female actor or singer, and there's something about their gifts and talents that, maybe they're going to put out something unusual, right? So it's a new beginning, and whatever their gift or talent is, they're taking their creativity in a new way. And it might surprise people what that turns out to be. It's just an example of how that might show up for you. The other thing that's starting to build, and we'll be talking about as we move forward, is the minor triangle between Pluto retrograde, Neptune in Aries, and of course that Uranus in Gemini. Now, it is later in the summer that they'll be exact in their conversation. And this is energy that's working again behind the scenes to create necessary changes. So in the month of July, there really is the third week in particular, some phenomenal energy that there's so much going on. In fact, it was hard to even squeeze it into the July article. So I'll definitely be expanding on those details as I do the recordings for the weeks. But we've got kites, we've got a cradle, we've got an envelope. These are all things that bring a lot of activity and a lot of connection and a lot of support. And so we'll be talking about these big shifts that are coming, and the outer planets, as they work together, they're creating collective change. Like we as a society are going through big changes, just like we did each time Uranus has been in the sign of Gemini. The big changes have come through conflict, and the conflict is necessary in order for the change to happen. So we've got a lot of conflict, as we know, and it's not going away anytime soon, but it's necessary. So we have to get comfortable with it so that we can come out the other side accepting the change that's coming, whether we like it or not. So those are all background type of energies and connections that are going on. Nothing, like I said, new or unusual or different. This new moon really does stand alone. So that makes this a little easier for us to discuss. The other thing I would say that powers up this new moon is the fact that, of course, Mercury, as the ruler in Cancer, is speaking in harmony with Mars. And Mercury moves faster, so this connection with Mars is going to last for a couple of days. This is what gives you the momentum to make the change. And with this Mars in the sign of Taurus, there's maybe a financial component that is necessary for you to create whatever this is that you want to create. Because Taurus, of course, rules over money. And Taurus also is very determined, stubborn. So this may be the extra boost of energy that you'll need to lift whatever this is off the ground for you. All right. So with that, I'll have links to the articles too. I have a little hypnosis session you can do to really get yourself aligned with the Gemini energy, and then do your new moon intentions after that. This is an air sign, so I like the writing component. I like the speaking the wishes out into the air, literally. You could go for a walk out in nature and even just be thinking about your intentions. When we're manifesting, we have to be connected to the heart. That you have to believe it's possible. You can't just put things on paper and expect them to come to fruition. You have to connect with them emotionally, because the heart center is the magnet. That's what attracts things to you, not your head. It's the energy we generate from saying the words, from seeing the vision. Though that's what helps you manifest. You can't just say something and not have an emotional attachment to it. And that is why when you say things like, I'm never, and you're so mad about it, the universe doesn't hear the word never. They just hear what you're so passionate about, and then they bring that exact thing to you. It's because it's energy, and you're a magnet, and you put out an emotional charge, and the energy responds to it. So you have to get that emotionally charged and excited about what you want to create if you want your manifestations showing up faster. But still, you're not in charge. The universe is, and things come to us at the right time. Okay, enough lectures. Let us take a look then, starting, of course, with the sign of Aries, so that we can do the breakdown. And of course, this is based on just whole sign houses. I use Placidus, but in doing predictions, I use whole sign because it's easier to describe. But wherever you have the 24 degrees of Gemini in your chart is the actual house that this new opportunity is available for you. So you need to know your chart so that you know that. since it's a little later degree, this might really be the house after. Again, it just depends on your own chart. So take a look and then listen for your sun, your moon, but most importantly, your rising sign. And like I said, listen, even though I'm saying this is Aries and this is the third house. If you are an Aries rising, but it happens to be your fourth house, then of course you're going to want to listen to what I'm about to describe for Taurus. All right. So let's get started with Aries. And how do I know it's the third house? Because if Aries is the first house, Taurus is your second, and then Gemini is your third. And so this opportunity for you, of course, is in your third house, Aries. And so all the things that we discussed are potential opportunities for you. So you could maybe go back to school or just sign up to take some kind of course of study. You could decide to write now. You could decide to take a short trip. You could decide that you want to buy a new car. You could decide to start a walking routine, because all of these things have to do with movement. The other thing with Gemini energies, I often see it show up in people who have work where they work with their hands. And of course, we all use our hands for typing, for talking on our phones, for texting. So it's definitely a really good time to do anything that involves some kind of new communication being created for you. The third house is also your community. So there can be a new role for you in your community. It also has your siblings, extended family members. Again, those are like the community you grew up with. This is school age friends that you may engage with to start something new. So lots of possibilities for you, Aries. All need movement and communication, and the way you think, the way you write, the way you speak. If you're not liking where you're at with your skill set, this is a great time to invest in yourself and start something new. And then we have Taurus. So Taurus, Gemini energy for you is in your second house. So the second house often is about the money that we make. So there could be a new opportunity for you in the work that you do. This can be a new job in the same company, or it could be a new company altogether. It could be a role where you're a teacher, because Gemini also is the energy of teaching, especially in elementary school age kids. So there could be just a role as a trainer at the company, or maybe you're taking on a new role as a trainer somewhere else. Of course, you could decide that you're writing a book, anything to do with communication. But the most important thing is a second house. We do best in making money when we are doing things that align with the energy in the second house. So making money as a writer, making money as a teacher, making money as a professional walker, right? Or maybe training other people how to get moving. All are possibilities, and anything that you do that you work with your hands. Those are the things that if you're doing something that challenges the mind, if you're making use of your speaking skills, your writing skills, then typically you're doing really well when it comes to making money. But it has to be doing something that aligns with what you put value in. So if you don't value the job that you're doing now, if it doesn't align with the things that matter to you, then this is a great time to make it a blank slate and start a brand new career. And then do one that's aligned with this air energy communication, and you will end up making more money than you maybe previously had. And then we're moving on to Geminis. And of course, Gemini, this is your new moon this year, and you're ready for a fresh start. So this is you. This is how you present yourself to other people, and this is how other people see you. And so since you're the Gemini, since you like a lot of change and variety, this could be where you're going through a personal makeover of some kind and changing your image and how you present it to other people. You might change your hair color. You might do some beauty treatments. It's you taking action on what matters to you and changing that in some way. And so, of course, Geminis, people see you as fun, as entertaining, as somebody who is a jokester because of that Mercury energy. Definitely somebody who likes to talk a lot. So if you have been hiding behind other people, this is your time to step out in front and make your voice known. So speak up, but speak up in a way that is empowering, not threatening, not demeaning, not angry. Like, this is light, humorous type of energy. And when you are aligned with it, then people pay attention to you more. So this is a time that you can go through a metamorphosis and change your image. Even if it's not a physical change, it can be how you present your energy to other people. And maybe you need to lighten up a little bit, and this would be the ideal time to do that. But it's something, again, that is you taking action on creating the change of your image. It's in your hands. That Mars energy is going to encourage you and motivate you to make the change. And then you're ready to go. All new you. Next, we have Cancers. So Cancers, this means this is a 12th house new moon for you. So these are changes that are happening beneath the surface. It can be psychological in nature that other people won't necessarily see you doing, but you will. You'll be able to break free from a way of thinking that doesn't serve you anymore. So this is a really ideal time to dig deep into your psyche and notice the patterns that are playing around there in your subconscious mind that are on repeat. And because they're on repeat, the situation in your life keeps showing up again and again and again and again. If you keep having disappointments show up in your life, the same pattern, you're at the root of the pattern, and you have to face it and release it so it stops showing up as a lesson. So this is very important for you to be paying attention to the words you say, the thoughts you think. How do you talk to yourself? Do you berate yourself? Are you too hard on yourself, Cancers? Because you're, of course, this very sensitive soul, and the words you say can very much hurt you. So this is a good time to cleanse yourself of complaining, being negative, and definitely don't dump all of your complaining on other people, because when you do that, all you do is attract more things to complain about. This is time to let go of conspiracy theories. Like, you have to focus on the facts. Gemini energy is about the facts. It's not fantasy. That's your Pisces, Neptune energy. That's all the fantasy energy. But here, with the help of the Gemini energy, you have to get real. So you are creating certain situations in your life that maybe you don't like anymore. And now you have the opportunity, with the help of this new moon, to clear out the cobwebs, to clear out the attic, clear out the basement, get rid of all those things that are stuck and just sit there and serve no purpose. That's the stuff you need to release and let go of with the help of this new moon. And you'll be so glad. You will feel so much lighter after you let all that clutter out of your head. No more shame, no more blame, no more why me. Just focus on what you have control over, and that's you, and what you're saying and what you're doing, and what's the effect of all of those things. Then we have Leo. So Leo, this is in your 11th house, which of course rules your friend groups. So this is a great time to start a group. It's a great time to join a group. It's a great time to make plans to travel, to vacation with your friends. Those would all be really fun and exciting things that you can do. Since this is information and communication. It's a great time just to reconnect with friends from the past. Maybe it's time to revive maybe a group that maybe you had a book club in the past and you guys all got too busy and you got away from it. But this time would be a great time to reconnect and get everybody back together. And doing that, if it brought you joy, you guys will find that the time is right to restart something like that. It's also a great time to be doing something on the internet, because that's what the 11th house rules with your groups, right? Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, all those things have to do with 11th house energies. You also could find that you get some magical surprise from someone else, because this house rules good things coming to you. I call it your fairy godparent energy. The fairy godparents live in the 11th house. And since this is communication, you may get a surprise letter or email, or however you get it, snail mail, that brings you some good news. And it could be a financial blessing of some kind. But whatever you're doing, plan to start connecting with other people in new and different ways. And it'll help bring, some fun and levity back into your life. And if you've been a part of some groups that are just draining you, then this is you being given permission to let those friendships go, or let those volunteer groups go, or whatever it is that you've been sucked into for so long you can't even remember why you're doing it. This is the time to get out from under that and let it go. For some, you might even be considering internet dating. So anything's possible. As long as you work on your connections to other people, then you have a bright, shiny new beginning coming your way, Leos. Next, we have Virgo. Virgo, this is your 10th house of career and status and reputation. So this is a great time to get aligned with a career that means more to you, matters to you. And Gemini, of course, we've talked about teaching, transportation, writing, speaking. You could go on a speaking tour in your local community if that is what calls to you at this time. And in your own job, if you're not someone that wants to leave it, it's just that the roles or the responsibilities of your current job could be changing for you. And again, into a role where you have more speaking engagements, or where you're teaching others or training others. So anything to do with communication is what you would be considering as far as changing your career at this time as well. So that means you are someone who's going to be more on stage, which I know is challenging for you, Virgos, because you're such a perfectionist and you will nitpick yourself to death. But you have to trust the process, and you have to learn by practicing. Using your voice on stage is going to become important to you during this time. So if you're not in a job that you enjoy, if you're not in a job that lets you use all of your skills, then you may be wanting to consider making a change. And of course, that Mercury energy, right, is somebody who's very detail oriented. Project management might be something that you would do with that Gemini energy in your 10th house as well. And it could just be that you've been working solo and now you're going to have a team. And of course, you would be teaching your team how to be successful. So whatever you're doing, you're engaging with other people and using your voice a lot more in your career going forward, Virgos. And then we have Libra. So Libras, this is the 9th house for you. 9th house, foreign people, foreign places, foreign countries. And you could be traveling, taking a trip that's a little farther, even though Gemini says stay close to home, but the 9th house pulls you farther away. You could be signing up to learn a foreign language. That would be a great way to do this. This is also a good time to sign up for yoga, Tai Chi, something that has to do with flow and movement. So this is that area where growth and expansion is important to you. And since, of course, you are a fellow air sign, this might be best to do with somebody else. So someone else may be reaching out to you and inviting you to do some of these things. Go on this trip, take this class with me, join this group, and you would find it really enjoyable. It could be a new spiritual practice because that's ninth house energy as well. So it's a fun, light-hearted energy that provides you growth. And the nice thing is when we're going through a growth process, but it's fun, like those are the best experiences, right? We want the growth opportunities that aren't so hard, that we always have to work so hard to grow and expand. This one feels lighter and the energy more joyful, that whatever this new beginning is that you end up doing with other people, once you're done with it, you're like, oh, okay. That was joyful. And I'm not so afraid of trying new things. And I'm also not afraid of trying new things just for myself, instead of just being a people pleaser and doing what other people want me to do. Now it's time for me to make up my own mind about what I want to learn, what I want to do. And I'm going to pursue that. And then you'll be amazed at how happy that makes you, that you allowed yourself to just choose you. Then we have Scorpios. Scorpio, this is showing up in your 8th house, which is, of course, the Scorpio energy is the 8th house. So this is something that you feel very comfortable doing. And this means you're going through a pretty major transformation and change into something completely new and different to you. Whatever it is, it's probably pretty dramatic, maybe even a little traumatic, because the 8th house, of course, is the house of death, rebirth, and transformation. And we don't typically do that on our own. So there's likely some situation that's coming up that's made you uncomfortable, and it's motivating you to make a really big change. Now, this is also the house that rules other people's money, financial resources that come to you from others versus the money that you make directly. It can be debts that you're taking on. So maybe you're buying a new car because of that Mercury energy ruling transportation. 8th house would mean you need a loan to get your new car or to make a move. All of those things are possible. And then for some, maybe you're getting news about an inheritance, and then new money's coming to you, or your partner's getting a bonus or a raise that would bring new money to you. But whatever it's coming to you from a financial perspective, it's enough to kind of change your circumstances, which sounds pretty great. But just know, if you're stuck in a situation where you keep having dramatic experiences, it means you're attached to that energy of drama or trauma. And it would be a good time to do some work on that as well and change your magnet to experiences that you don't have to burn it all down to the ground to start over. You don't have to have drama in order to make a big change. You can make a change without all of that. So things to consider about yourself, since this is your sign, 8th house energy Scorpio, of maybe a different approach if you're tired of where life's been leading you lately. And then we have Sagittarius. Sagittarius, this is kind of a breath of fresh air in your committed relationship. So it can be close friends, it can be your marriage partner, it can be business partner, it can be a new contract that you're signing that is, exciting and new for you. It can be like I said, a breath of fresh air in how you communicate with your partners. So this could be a great time even to sign up to take a class that you guys do together, learn something new. Maybe you want to take a cooking class together. Something that you want to do that's fun and adventurous, because that's who you are, Sagittarius. And then this Gemini energy, which is opposing you, and that's why it's your 7th house, is more detail oriented. So something that you're beginning with your partner helps you focus in on the, the day-to-day details of what you guys can accomplish together versus you doing everything on your own. Like, this is time for you to bring your partner in and do something new together. Maybe there's a project that you're going to do together. Maybe together you're writing a book or teaching a course, creating a course that you can teach together. But communication is the key. And since this is your marriage partner, this is, like I said, a chance for you to, look at, are you being too codependent in your relationship, one or the other of you? Then that means you have to speak up and clear the air, be very clear with your expectations and not settling. And if you haven't been in a relationship for a long time, then this is an opportunity for you to attract one in that would be long-lasting, long-term. Whether it's a marriage or a friendship or a business partnership, doesn't matter. The new beginnings are available for you that can lead to a long-term committed relationship, whichever one appeals to you more. And Capricorns are next, and it is in your 6th house, which is the work that you do. And so there is a new opportunity. So it could be a new job. It could be one that you are able to use your skill set as far as communication, details, Excel sheets, project management, writing, teaching, all of those things that have to do with that Mercury energy. Of course, it could have something to do with transportation. Like I said, anything where you're working with your hands and using your mind, using your communication skills. So whether you're leaving your company or starting something new, doesn't matter. You just have to go with it. Now, this is also good since this is things that you do in your day-to-day life that also have to do with your health. It's a great time to start a new physical fitness routine, committing to walking every day, committing to eating healthy, maybe taking a course on nutrition. Those are all things that are possible for you. But since you're a Capricorn and this is your 6th house and you're very much aligned with hard work, I really think the work angle is going to stand out the most for you at this time. And again, it could be news coming in about a new job opportunity for you as well. Something that's more fun and lighthearted, that air energy that kind of helps lift you out of that heavy earth Capricorn energy all the time. But it's time to get moving, right? Something in your day-to-day life does need to change because you're a little stuck and feeling stagnant in either the work, the exercise, your health. Even a pet could be a possibility for you Capricorns because it's 6th house energy, and maybe you'll end up getting 2 because, of course, this is the energy of the twins. And up we have next Aquarius. Aquarius, this is your 5th house, which has everything to do with the heart, with romance, with children. So you're starting something new that makes your heart feel light and airy again. So this can be you also getting back to a hobby maybe that you did in the past that you just haven't allowed yourself to get back to and do again. This is a great time to, again, consider dating. So putting yourself out there or just going to networking events that have to do with the Gemini energy. So, join a walking group or take a class, go to school, and you'll meet people in these areas that share the same things that your heart likes and that brings it joy. And then those, of course, are the best people for us to have relationships with. So whatever energy is in your 5th house, go to that place. Do that thing. If you're looking for a relationship, that's where you will meet those people. So go to somewhere that has to do with Gemini, which is your local community, like a community college, and take a course, and you'll meet some interesting people there. Or if you have a hobby, same thing. Go where people do the hobby or connect with the people online that have the same interests and go to a meetup group. if you want love in your life, you got to do something about it and you have to take action. And this is the best time to do that. Now, if you're looking to have a child, warning, Gemini could be twins. So just make sure you're ready to have a handful should you decide this is the right time for you to have children entering into your life. And then we're wrapping up as usual with Pisces. Pisces, this is your 4th house of home and family. So a new beginning at home. This can be a new home within, a local type of move that you would be considering making. And you could be starting a job where you get to work from home. So such as teaching, you can teach from home, you can write a book at home, you can start some kind of telecommunication, AI, all of those types of things could be what's aligning for you at home. And you could be focusing on how you communicate with your family. And again, if you've been a little too codependent and a little too much of a people pleaser, then now it's time to speak up for yourself and get what it is that you want. So it's a good time to refresh the communication and how it's being handled in your own home. And with children being home for the summer, maybe this is you looking at ways to keep your children active over the summer months. And so asking to be guided towards the things and the activities that will help to keep them busy and out of your hair all summer long. But it is also a great time to refresh things in your home when we have that Gemini energy. So you would be looking to bring airiness, lightness, like putting more of the color blues into your home to, again, just lift and lighten up the energy there as well. So change coming at home, changes in your relationship with your mother are possible. So whatever you want to set your intentions on, this is the perfect time to do it if you want to shake things up at home in a good, light, fun way. But again, remember, Mars will be motivating you to make changes at home, and Mercury in Cancer, I really think it's a great time to just mix things up at home and make sure you're looking at a feng shui calendar and map, I should say, and get everything aligned. So good time to freshen things up, and definitely a good time for finding a new home as well. All right. There we have it. Some possibilities of how this might show up for you, or at least where you can focus in your new intentions and how to create these new beginnings. If you want to know for sure, of course, you want to book a session with me. I will have out in these next few days the new moon manifestation checklist to help you get yourself organized and focused on creating your new moon wishes as well. All right. Amazing week. I'm looking forward to your feedback and your comments. So please like, comment, share, and click on the follow button because that helps me reach more people. And I appreciate your support in doing that as well. So just remember, go out to my website, maraleeburnett.com, get access to all the written information and materials for this new moon as well, and then that new moon worksheet. And you should be on your way to getting your mind set on what it is that you want to begin new with this amazing new moon in Gemini. All right, guys. So next week, we have all this new moon energy to start working through. So let me move this back here. Let me put us here and talk about what's coming. So in the week ahead, we are going to start to see, Mercury moving through and continuing its pre-shadow work. So again, these are just important weeks to be paying attention to what's showing up for you. What are you, especially what you're feeling and how you're responding to how you're feeling, because those are triggers that you're going to have to work on. So we'll be watching Mercury moving forward. We're also going to be paying attention, as I said, to Venus as she starts having those difficult conversations with Pluto throughout the week. And we are pretty much in kind of a week where we're just, I wouldn't say exactly coasting, but it's energy that we're starting to settle in on until we get to the end of the week. And then that is where we're going to see this Chiron dip into the sign of Taurus. Like I said, this is the first time that we've seen Chiron in Taurus since the late 70s, so 1977 to 1984. And during that time, of course, we had high gas prices. We were rationing gas. We were seeing very high inflation, extremely high interest rates. So we are just going to get a preview. In fact, Chiron, I don't think is coming off the 0 degree, because it's going to move forward. It's going to slow down. It's going to go retrograde, still at 0 degrees, and then come back so that we can finish the work that we started back in 2018 as Chiron moves back into the sign of Aries. So it's really important once Chiron first goes in here that we pay attention. So Chiron, the wounded healer, Chiron was also a powerful teacher, trainer, coach, right? He was the trainer of the gods. So he's very skilled, but he couldn't heal himself. He was immortal. He couldn't heal himself. So he had to live with the pain. And living with that pain taught him how to heal other people. And so there's something in your life that is a pain point that you're been experiencing since 2018, and now a new different one is coming. And Taurus, of course, has things to do with money and financial security, food security. So we have some pretty sensitive areas, and this has to do with self-worth. So if you have triggers around feeling worthy, they're going to come up pretty strong. And you have to realize that you can't get worthiness from other people. Just because somebody pays attention to you or pays you a compliment, that doesn't make you worthy. That just makes them nice. So you deserve it no matter somebody says it or not. And you have to do that for yourself. So we'll have 8 years of working through this. But this preview time is really important to pay attention as this entryway happens right as we're also going to have the summer solstice. So that again tells me this is the beginning of all of the big shifts and changes that are coming. And remember, a solstice means we have equal parts day and night. Depending on where you're at, it's either short or long. Here in the Northern Hemisphere, this is the longest day of the year, where we have equal parts of day and night. And then the days begin to get shorter. And then the darkness, starts to take hold. So this is the culmination point of what we've been creating throughout the year. And then things are going to move the other way. So there's that shift and change that's coming. The balance is important, and Chiron's moving into a new sign. So by the time we get to the end of this week, the intensity is going to be picking up quite a bit. And it's just the beginning. Because as I said, July is intense. It's crazy. And then August, we're back in eclipse season. And those eclipses will introduce the new Leo and Aquarius work that is coming. So the nodes will change signs in July. And then in August, we have the first of the eclipses. And there's going to be so many changes. So make sure you stick around for all of that. Make sure you're subscribing. And don't forget to watch my daily posts when I pull a tarot card or an oracle card and get a little message that then I align to also what's going on in the sky. So you get a little astrology, a little tarot, a little uplifting message, hopefully that makes your day a little brighter. So again, make sure you're following me on all the little extra channels out there so that you can easily access what I am sharing with you on a day-to-day basis as well. All right, guys. I look forward to all the exciting things that are headed our way and hope you have an amazing new moon in Gemini. We'll talk next week. Take care.